Namaste, namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Modi Ji ki Jai. Ashtavakra. Unless someone has a very burning question. I know after the weekend, sometimes I've seen this, that we can pick up something even during the 2 days of the weekend. Yes, yes. Nothing, all good. No but. Some of you might not know this. One of my favorite games is I am awareness, but those who have been in satsang for a while can get stuck in this game for quite a long time. The but might keep changing. I am awareness, but how do I live it? I am awareness, but where is the bliss? I am awareness, but how do I stay as awareness? I am awareness, but my family doesn't see it. I am awareness, but why don't I have the peace that was promised? So simply what we are then saying is that I am awareness, but also I am a person. Because what you notice after the but is not about awareness. There are no ifs and buts in awareness. So this switch, you see, I am awareness, but what happened to the identity which I always considered myself to be? Wasn't it promised some eternal peace upon the discovery I am awareness? No, maybe it seemed like it was promised that. But what was being pointed to was your own eternal contentment. As long as you refer to yourself as the truest self that you are, you'll find that it is beyond all this play of opposites, of desire and giving up, of doing and not doing, of enjoying and of renouncing. And yet somehow, in this play that we call the spiritual journey, we are trying to juggle the true self of which we have had some insight, and the previous identity which has continued to retain some allegiance. From awareness emerges this supreme intelligence, consciousness, being, Atma. And this intelligence has put out this beautiful play and also the power to believe itself to be a part of this play. Many times we are in satsang, we feel like we've seen through the mirage. We've seen through the mirage. And yet we continue to be concerned about what happened to that water. You see, the mirage which was seeming like there is an individual entity here, the sense that I existed as something with name and form, even when you see that you are much beyond that, you cannot in fact be that limited one. Even after that, many times these questions seem to get our belief. What is going to happen to this one? That non-existent one, as I've been calling the blue cat. Who is going to feed the blue cat which never existed? Uh, who is going to take care of this person that never was? So what is your starting point in satsang? Again, I ask you today, is your starting perspective already from the idea that I am a person and you want your freedom? Or already you can see right now that there is nobody who is bound. And if there is nobody who is bound, then which problem are you trying to solve? And the minute you pick up the idea that it must always be like this, it's only in satsang when I come, you pick up the individual I again. You see? So just this little bit, the message comes, you, but what about you? What about me? Just little bit. As you are watching these messages come and go, notice your own power as consciousness. Do not buy into this story. This much noticing is enough. Otherwise, what will happen is that you might have an insight into awareness. You might even see a glimpse as consciousness. You might recognize your own source, which is beyond even I am, before I am. And the mind plays a trick on you and it says, yes, I am awareness. But even in this proclamation, the limited I can sneak in, and you start to feel that I, as an individualized name and form, have now become awareness, and now this is how I need to live. I see many who are trying to live as if they are awareness. It's a joke. You cannot even imagine this formless one. How will you live as if you are that? It is your source. The source is not to be found in this phenomenal play. Because if this was also phenomenal, if you could play as if you are that in this phenomenal play, then this would also, awareness would also be part of the coming and going, because all phenomena comes and goes. Don't try to prove your discovery to anyone. It is your own doubt about your recognition which will make you play in that way. Don't even make I am awareness into a Mahamantra. Don't make it into an affirmation. Use it just as a pointing if you have to. Because even in this affirmation, the individual, the special I will creep in and you will start to play out the spiritual ego. Become empty of even this idea. The truth does not need any idea. You do not need to live a certain way. You cannot live an enlightened life. This doer, this trier, who is trying to live life a particular way, who is trying to proclaim something now that belongs to it, is another play of the ego itself. And as I say over and over again, there is no project for you in this. Because in this moment, you are free of all of this. All of these are just reminders that when the offer comes from the mind, yes, now I've had the recognition of the truth. Now, what should I do? Should I tell my family? Should I tell my Sangha? How should I behave? How should I act? And then someone comes and says, so what would you like for dinner today, my dear? Yeah. I am awareness. I do not eat. And then later quietly make a visit to the kitchen fridge and open the. So don't let these beautiful pointings become ideas by which the mind tries to retain some sense of individuality, some specialness. There's a verse, a beautiful discussion with someone in the Sangha where they said, there's a verse in chapter 1, verse 11, if I'm not mistaken, where they said, Ashtavakra said, if you think you are free, you will be free. If you think you are bound, you will be bound. And if you think you are free, you will be free. And I said that this is one of the rare times where I will go beyond what Ashtavakra is saying. And what I wanted to convey was freedom does not need the idea I am free. Is it? Freedom just is. And many times if we pick up the idea I am free, then that can only nourish the, again, the ego, the spiritual ego. As the sage said many times later, beyond all thoughts, beyond all ideas, freedom and bondage both do not apply. So sometimes, to negate this very pervasive idea that I am bound, sometimes as a medicine for that idea, the opposite idea is used. Even in satsang, you will find it. That we take the opposite position just to neutralize the previous position. But the idea is to come to the neutrality, not to pick up a new position. Many years ago, we used to play in satsang, we used to play the opposites game. As if one thought is coming, then bring your attention to the opposite thought and see how easy it is for you to believe either of them actually. Then you will see the fluidity, the invalidity of your positions. Nothing can describe you, not even bondage or freedom. In the same way, there was another verse in chapter 8, verse 16. He said, even if you see that you are the supreme, see, the subtler interpretation is this. Once you find that you are this self, untouched, unchanging, do you need to think about it? You don't have to think about it. The truth needs no crutches of thought. The sage is not thinking, I am awareness, I am awareness, I am awareness. What are you empty of your belief system? So we have a question from P. Sharma who says, Namaste, I am new here. I haven't experienced the true self. Then how do you go towards experiencing that? Yes. But that's what we look at in every satsang. And there are many clues which have been provided. So what is it that witnesses all that is moving? You must take these pointers into your contemplation, which means you must take it into your heart and look at the insight which is emerging intuitively. Don't rush to a mental answer. Stay with the not knowing if you have to. What is it that witnesses this phenomenal movement? Hello.
I'll come back only at 7 tomorrow. Have reverse. The reverse.
What is it that witnesses the movement of all phenomena? If the mind is giving some answer, what witnesses this thought? If the mind is providing some visual, what witnesses this visual? If you're finding nothing, neither thought nor visual, what witnesses this nothing? Then you will find that there is a unchanging, unmoving awareness, which is aware even of your own existence. So I have given some clues like this. Since you are new in Satsang, I can repeat some of them. I ask you, can you stop being? Just don't be for a couple of seconds. And as much as possible, allow all concepts and visuals to come and go. You stay with what is being pointed. Try to stop being. And you'll notice that unmistakably your presence is here. You exist. And you are aware of your existence. You must tell me if any of this is resonating with you. Is it? Any of this is resonating with you? And if not, you can type out and say, Ananta, I'm just completely fresh into this and I'm not understanding anything you're saying or nothing is truly resonating. Then we can really start from the very basics. But if already something is resonating over here, then we can take it from here. Yeah, you say, yes, it is resonating. This is very good already. Very good. So that which cannot be stopped, cannot stop being. Is it? What is aware of that? What is the shape or size of this one? Does it have a color? Does it have an age? Does it have any attribute? That which is aware of presence. What is the nature of that? Does it have any quality? Is it coming or going? You will find that it is empty of qualities, empty of attributes. It is just a pure witnessing. It's like a witnessing intelligence. Empty of anything that you can say about any phenomena, yet that which is aware of all phenomena. Now, where are you in relation to this awareness of even our presence? What is your position? Now, for some time, don't come to any conclusion. Don't believe any mental concept about what you are experiencing. All concepts are useless here. Nothing about the awareness can be described in concepts. No past, no future. You will find that actually you can never not be the self. You have always been only this. Nitya says, what is coming up here is that belief seems only possible when I'm not clear about my true position. Yes. That's why I say that it is in your recognition of the true position, the truth, will you find so much space to let go of the position which the mind is trying to give you. And as you let go of what the position the mind is trying to give you, it seems the recognition is so much more clear. This is the virtuous circle. The mind has the opposite game plan. It wants to sell you a position about yourself. And as you seem to get stuck in a position about yourself, it seems like this recognition is just word games or mind games. When looked at from an individual perspective, awareness can just seem like a word game, word play. But when looked at from the position of the self, of awareness itself, it is our personal play which can seem like an unimaginable game. You will start to wonder how you believed yourself to be a limited entity. You're absolutely right that for belief, there must be still identity, which is saying, yes, this is meaningful for me. And you will find that that which has been nurtured with your belief in the past, that still might seem to come up as meaningful. That is why both aspects of this play of satsang, which is the recognition of the truth as well as the letting go of the false, are completely dependent on each other. They are one play actually. Once you see there is no blue cat, then it becomes more difficult to buy the ideas about what the blue cat should do, what the blue cat wants. If you consider yourself to be one, then the thoughts about this might still be meaningful. Moran said, Father, I am pretty new here and this must already be covered, but I would love to hear about the dawn of your enlightenment. If this is appropriate at this time. The dawn of enlightenment. The simplest version of the story is that I met my father, I met Guruji, this one, who you all know. And then I came into his holy presence, and something here just stopped. You can say stopped falling for the trick of the mind. Stopped believing itself to be an individual entity, mostly. There was no 100%, but mostly. I saw what was the unchanging truth. And in the seeing of that, the belief in what was not unchanging started to fall away. This is the version of the story which is coming up today. We have looked at many versions of this in the past as well. Usually, I don't like to share so much about that because many times, these things become benchmarks for us. And we feel like, oh, this happened to Ananta, so till something like that happens to me, then I will not be free. Whereas every day, what you're hearing is that you are, the starting point is freedom. Many times, the spirituals, I've also experienced this here, that I'd heard so many spiritual stories that I felt like the seeker identity would come to its finality only when it experiences some great fireworks or some great spiritual experience. Which you hear so many of these tales. So no benchmark at all. Before you can find, before you can take one step towards finding freedom, are you not free? Actually, better to forget about the concept of enlightenment. And in fact, as Guruji says, if you feel that you have got it, you must keep coming to satsang. If you feel that you haven't got it, you must keep coming to satsang. This doesn't mean that it's our marketing department. Either way, just come to satsang. It's not that. It's only that as long as we hold on to an idea about ourselves in that way and keep coming to satsang, so we can find that I am beyond bondage or freedom. That is true freedom. And if you're left with the idea that you found your freedom, then even this idea we must come to satsang to extinguish. Ranjit says, beloved master, I read a discourse from a teaching from Ramana Maharishi about residing in the spiritual heart, which he called the Hidayam. Is this something that you can give further insight on? Now, what happens in satsang? If you see satsang with Guruji, if you see satsang with any of the sages, you will find many times the hand naturally goes here. So is it that the hand is being placed on the physical heart, whether the physical heart is of some meaning? No. Many of us experience the core of our existence, the core of our being, seeming to arise from this spiritual heart, the seat of consciousness itself. Now, for some of a particular temperament, they find it easy to just rest here with consciousness. It's a variation of what Maharaj was also told to do, to stay with the sense I am. But he used to say that I don't find this I am in the heart, I find I am everywhere, which of course is also a true position. But it is undeniable that for many of us, it can seem like the root of consciousness is this spiritual heart, the seat of consciousness itself. So, as I ask you, can you stop being? You might find that your presence is just everywhere. Or you might find that your presence is everywhere, and yet the intensity of it, the beauty of it seems amplified in that which is called the spiritual heart. And if it is like this, then it can become a very beautiful resting place for your attention. If it seems natural to you. If it doesn't seem natural to you, if you find that attention span is not so much, you cannot stay with that, don't even worry about that. There is no one path, one way to get to what you already are. In fact, there is no way to get to what you already are. So don't worry, you keep coming to satsang and you will find that whatever is most naturally suited to you, those answers will come. That way will become more and more clear. I missed a question, is it? Oh, I see. My specs. Yes, I missed this question, which was P. Sharma had said, the witnesser position also seems to shift for me. Sometimes the witnessing is going on from direct directions. That's how I perceive. The witnesser position also seems to shift. You see? Now, if there is a shift, there must be something which is witnessing that. You see? If that itself is shifting, then you will not notice a shift. If you're in a plane, the plane is flying, you see, then you don't notice that the plane is flying unless you look outside for the perspective of the shift. You see? So if that itself was shifting, then you would not notice a shift. If you can feel something shifting, then find out what witnesses that. If there is a sense that there is a perceiver here, it seems to be shifting, then what witnesses this perceiver? Is that also shifting? The witnesser position also seems to shift for me. Sometimes witnessing is going on from direct directions. From direct directions. Sometimes witnessing is going on from direct. Can you expand on that? I didn't really understand. Going on from direct directions. That's how I perceive. Different directions. Yes. Witnessing going on from different directions. So that which witnesses from all these directions, does that itself have a direction? You see? Now, what you're coming to recognize through all this insight is that you, the primal witnessing, is beyond time and space, is beyond directions, is not contained in this universe. Sometimes I tell those who've been in satsang with me that I am taking you on a voyage beyond this universe. So you will find that this concept of directions does not apply because there is no space. The sage Ashtavakra right in the beginning said, you are beyond the four elements and you're not even the space in which these elements seem to play. Beyond time and space, you are. So if you're getting these visuals of various directions, find out what witnesses that. And even if it's a bit confusing because we're used to reference point being in space, in time. Even if it seems a bit giddy, actually, you stay with this giddiness. You might not know for some time where to locate yourself. We have been used to locating ourselves as some sort of unfound object situated within this body, this head or this heart. Now you're seeing that you're beyond this universe itself. Beyond manifestation is your truer ground, truest position. You start to see that you are everywhere. Don't go to any visuals of this. As I'm saying, I know the mind might also come and create very beautiful visuals, but stay with your truest insight. You will find that you are not in any direction. All directions are within you. You will not find yourself as an object. You will not find yourself as something which has only one perspective. This awareness. anyone in the Sangha who also is in contact with you can send you the list of, we have some clues to enlightenment. We collected some clues from the Ashtavakra Gita, and we can use all of these tools, or the 2, 3 which are the most appealing for us, because you're in a very beautiful place where open checking is happening. As this checking is happening, don't settle for any midway conclusion, any phenomenal conclusion. Even if it becomes a bit wobbly, find your true nature, true self, which is beyond any mental conclusion or any phenomenal objective position. Also, the language sometimes we use in satsang might seem a bit confusing sometimes, because this is, you're new to this type of satsang. Don't worry about it. In a few satsangs, it will become completely clear that we are pointing to a very simple, in a very simple way. Thank you. When you exist, you see, when you exist, waking state comes, you exist. Then when you exist, you will see within your own existence all this play of phenomenality play out. You see? Now, so far we've been trained to go towards certain aspects of this phenomenality and avoid other aspects. Usually go towards those aspects which give you pleasure and avoid those aspects which give you pain. You see? Now what I'm saying is that where did your existence come from? What's on this side of existence? Can consciousness itself come to the recognition of its own source? Right? Then you will find that in the nature of phenomenality, there's one aspect which is designed to make you play with just this phenomenal creation. So it will try its best through thoughts, through attachment, through desire, through something to do, to make you, as consciousness, focus again and again on just this, your phenomenal creation. So every satsang, I ask you, what is aware of this existence? Because that must be that which is on this side. You see, beyond existence, beyond I am. Many don't want this. Many don't want this yet, and that is fine. But for those who are done with playing as if they are objects, done with this play of limitation, done with the play of considering themselves to be an object which was born and is going to die ultimately, then this kind of pointing will be music to your ears. Where did your existence come from? What is aware of your existence? Sometimes those who are here in Bangalore, sometimes I tell them, okay, you go on a fast. The fast is what? Don't report anything from your phenomenal side. Don't report anything from your phenomenal side. Tell me something about that which is prior to phenomena. So that means what? Don't report anything about your life events, the state of your body, what emotions you're experiencing, what thoughts still seem powerful. None of this. Not even about the fragrance of love, peace, and joy which comes as the perfume of your own existence. Not even that. Is there something beyond this? And the clue is what witnesses all of this. All of this that is moving is the witness of that. Also phenomenal. What can you say about that one? The mind won't like this pointing because all the mind can fathom is all these things that we spoke about: life events, state of the body, emotions you're feeling, what the mind is saying, and how it is so strong, and what blissful experiences you might be having, even in coming to your true presence. Suppose we are not interested in any of that. Is there nothing left to you after this? Uh, Maybe I laugh. Is that the entirety of your self? Or is it possible that you might be open to my words that the greater of you is still not included in any of this? If you're open to this possibility, then this discovery is right round the corner if already not there. How many are willing to go beyond this play of phenomena and are open to the possibility of the non-phenomenal truths? Then you will find that all the buts, I am awareness, but the buts will all start to dissolve, fade away. Because you are no longer considering yourself just phenomenally, just an object, just an appearance. Can we do 2, 3 verses from Ashtavakra before we close? Today became one of those monologue satsang. Verse 38, chapter 18. Unable to stand steady and eager for salvation, the ignorant perpetuate the illusion of world. Unable to stand steady and eager for salvation, the ignorant perpetuate the illusion of world. Seeing the world as the source of all misery, the wise cut it off at the root. Did we do this? Maybe we did this. Yeah. Cut it off at the root, I seem to remember. The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. He will never attain it. The wise one knows truth and is stillness itself. The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. He will never attain it. The wise one knows truth and it is stillness itself. Don't try to control the mind. Don't try to change the quality of the mind also. Let the mind come and go. If you are the space in this room, are you concerned about what is the kind of visitors you're getting? If you are the space in this room, the space has no opinion on the quality of its visitors. You are that space which is beyond this space. You are untouched by any of this play of the mind. Just let it come and go. Trying to change the mind is another trick of the mind. It might have its space in some other, might have its place in some other spiritual paths, but on this direct path, I find that the simplest approach is just to let it come and let it go. Don't try to control it. If I ask you, can you predict what your next thought is going to be? Some have even said yes. When I've asked this question, can you create your next thought? Can you predict what your next thought will be? You see, we've been conditioned to believe that it is yes. But what do? You wait for the thought to come and then you report on it, isn't it? So the thoughts are just coming and going. And if you are attached to the idea that my thoughts have to become pure, my thoughts have to become something, I have to control my mind, then when it comes, you see, it says, hello, I'm still here, impure thought, impure thought. Then what will you believe about yourself? That you're still not free, you're still caught up in this cycle of birth and death. So whatever the thoughts might be, let them come and go. The fool thinks peace comes by controlling the mind. He will never attain it. You see, because still attached to outcome, still attached to wanting this play to be a certain way. When we leave this entire play to be exactly as it is, including the play of the body mind, and find that your true position is that which is aware of all of this, yet unconcerned by it, then the wise one knows the truth and is stillness itself. Then the thoughts don't disturb you. For he who thinks knowledge is things and ideas, how can there be self-knowledge? The wise do not see separate things, only the timeless self. He who thinks knowledge is things and ideas, how can there be self-knowledge? The wise do not see separate things, only the timeless self. What does it mean, things and ideas? If you look around, you will see how the mind comes in and tries to label everything. Computer, person, sofa, cushion. So it makes things out of this one appearance. Like this is a thing, this is a thing, this is so much. Separation. But actually your experience is of one appearance. You're only experiencing this one appearance. The idea of separation comes from the labels, comes from our interpretation. This is what I call the bad photocopy of our experience, which the mind offers up. Things. So you think that you know something in the external world as an objective knowing, then ideas. We can feel like we know something on the basis of what idea we have. I know what freedom is because I've read 10 concepts about freedom. We can feel like having the most or the best sounding concepts will give us some true knowledge. So everybody is looking for the best concept. What is the greatest concept? It has become very popular to say now that I am awareness can be a favorite concept. But now some are going even beyond. Even awareness, I am beyond. You think, what? Just talking, just noise. You see? Just mental, conceptual illusions of some sort of knowledge. As I said the other day, awareness is confirming itself even in its denial. It's confirming itself even in its denial. We say, yes, there is no awareness. What we are actually meaning is, I am aware that there is no awareness. So we feel like we know something through the concepts that we have. And you can't really blame anyone for that because that is how we have been conditioned. You can feel like we were conditioned first with 2 plus 2 equals 4. That was a lower concept. Then you learned a higher concept, multiplication 2 into 2 is equal to 4. And you learn division, all these higher and higher concepts. In every field of learning, you go from lower to higher concepts. First, you learn, if you're studying medicine, you learn about the body and all the organs in the body. Then you zero in on the deeper concept, the higher concept. Oh, how does the kidney function? How does the stomach function? How does the heart function? Then you zero in even further, go to the higher concept of all of these things. So we've been taught this way that we must go to the higher and higher concept of things. But here it is the opposite. You drop all your ideas about everything, especially about yourself. So he who thinks knowledge is things and ideas, how can there be self-knowledge? Is there a greater knowingness itself than this perceptual or conceptual knowing? What is aware of your existence? What knows your present? The wise do not see separate things, only the timeless self. The fool tries to control the mind with the mind. The fool tries to control the mind with the mind. What folly! The wise one delights in self alone. There is no mind to master. What is the mind? We also use the word mind very often. Bhagavan said, the mind is a bundle of thoughts. Simplest. There are many definitions of mind, but a very, very specific way to look at the mind is this: just a bundle of thoughts. Therefore, it is not a constant. When there is a thought, we say there is mind. When we are empty of thoughts, the Zen Buddhists would call it no mind. Now, for the self, either mind or no mind makes no difference. The wise one delights in self alone. There is no mind to master. Some believe in existence, others believe nothing exists. Rare is the one who believes nothing and is never confused. Some believe in existence, others believe nothing exists. There's a deep message in this where there are many, many schools of thought about where even existence comes from or what is existence. Is there something like existence? And all these ontological arguments, all of these things are dependent on that. Is there existence at all? Or actually, simply put, what is there? Now, I think some can believe that there is, some believe there is nothing, there is no existence, it's just a void. Actually, blessed are those who believe nothing and yet are never confused. The last part is important, isn't it? Never confused. Because you also meet many who are really fickle with their beliefs. So we're not talking about those as called fickle-minded, just switching their beliefs based on whichever room they're in, because they're really not clear. They just want to fit in some way or something like this. So we're not talking about these confused ones. We're talking about that which is empty of belief, and yet he or she is never confused. Why never confused? Because they don't need to rely on the crutches of beliefs. They have their own insight, which is present, which is undeniable. All concepts might fail us, but your truest insights cannot fail you. Weak intellectuals may believe the self is one without other, but being mired in illusion, they do not actually know self, so live out their lives in misery. So if it's just an intellectual belief, that's why we started today's satsang by saying just the idea I am the self, and to believe that is not enough. It must be your intuitive insight. And this intuitive insight is completely possible using the tools of inquiry, the clues that are present in these beautiful scriptures. Just the belief will not do now. Just the concept I am that will not do. It must translate into your seeing, the pure seeing. Many times I've said that it is to come from our conceptual knowledge to I don't know, which seems to be the longer journey. This fear of admitting that we don't know, and finally coming to that point of surrendering and saying, I just don't know. That seems to be the longer part of the journey. From I don't know to this clarity of inner insight is very, very easy, very simple. From I know something to the capital K knowing will be the most torturous journey. If you are open, if you are empty, then the recognition is just here. If the inner intuitive presence has to fight constantly with the voice of limitation, with your mind, then it can seem like a journey with great struggle. And consciousness can decide to play in either way. But just as it is pointing these things out to itself, some clarification can happen. Weak intellectuals may believe the self is one without other, but being mired in illusion, they actually do not know self, so live out their lives in misery. That's why I spoke about suffering the other day and why in Advaita Vedanta we keep speaking about Satsang, about suffering. Those who have come to the truth have let go of the idea of the individual sufferer. When the rubber hits the road, then we see what is our true insight. And you have reported this, isn't it? It's something, this was happening in my life. I was fighting with my partner, and all this ideas about I am awareness and I am consciousness, unlimited being, all this went out the window first thing. Yeah. As long as this deepens, is digested as a simple knowing, as a simple knowingness, if it is only conceptual, then this idea of the individual sufferer can continue. In fact, it might even become worse because the conflict might even seem deeper. If there are two beliefs in you, both having equal position, that I am the self, I am awareness untouched by this play of the world, and I am a person which is completely involved and doing this, has desires, is the doer, true separation actually took place. You see, then it can seem like there's even more struggle. You see, this inner conflict between these two beliefs will seem to crush us more and more. You see? Sometimes better, if you have to have a concept, then pick up the simpler worldly concept. Unless you are using these pointers as reminders for your own checking, for your own inquiry, for your own insight, then just please leave. It's better.
Ananta-ji,
Yeah.
may I ask a
Yeah,
question?
of course.
Individual suffering is it's non-existent, but even is collective suffering or suffering which does not belong to any particular person or something, but it's just there. Is that true? Like as a race, how all the things that
Yes.
we
Now,
as the collective, is
so
that true suffering?
you're saying suffering or pain? You know the distinction, right?
Yeah, but in whatever form, this
Yes.
this kind of extreme distortion or movement away from divinity, or whatever that we have experienced collectively.
Yes.
No, I mean, an individual can see at their level that it does not exist, on inquiry or on investigation.
Yes.
But as that collective, if we look at the history of the world or look at the history of some families or most families, there is a deep undercurrent of suffering that is there.
Yes. In this manifest creation, all colors are there. Deep suffering is there, also great joy is there. So the entire color spectrum is available. At all times in this play, it has always been this way. Now, at various times, consciousness chooses to give attention to some aspects, and then it can make a color of the world, saying the world is suffering, for example. A sage said, the world is suffering. Then another sage said, this world is just joy, it's for my enjoyment. It's only joy, like that. That is only because attention seems to be more limited. So now, if you were to find as many instances of joy in this world, if you were to take that on as a project, you will find it. It depends on what is the project that consciousness has taken on for itself. Anything, because it is everything. So how can everything be empty of a certain color? Cannot be. So it will find this, it will also find that. That is the beauty of attention. It traverses time and space and plays with this manifest with exactly what the quality and the color it wants to play with at that point of time. Now, if you're finding this, then that is how consciousness is playing right now, where it is giving a lot of its attention to this worldly suffering. But if I was to tell you, okay, Vedika, let's find the opposite of that. Can we find a lot of worldly joy? I can promise you, you will find as much. So it depends on what project consciousness has taken on for itself. Now, when it comes to what you say, this individual suffering, now once it recognizes that I'm not an individual at all, then the whole play changes in some way, isn't it? Then the play goes away from individual and collective to seeing the entire collective is only me. This idea of separation itself is dissolving. It's the end of individual suffering, as you say. Then the idea of something other than me also is not there. Then you look at everything. Like if you earlier considered this body to be you, then within this body also, if you look even now, you will find some area of pain. Where you look for some pleasure, you'll find one area of pleasure also. Both colors will be available. So then the play of this world will become aspects of your being, aspects of your existence. And it will continue to have the flavors and the coloring which is there. It doesn't become unidimensional. Now, what will happen is that the acceptance of this varied colors in this play itself then is this openness or acceptance that we talk about. You getting what I mean? So, yes, in this world, all, or I should say in this realm, all flavors that consciousness wants to taste, it will make themselves available.
Some people are extremely light-hearted and the whole life carries that signature, and others are extremely come with very dense some kind of a pain body or something, and to arrive at that same light-heartedness takes them such a long, so many convoluted paths and insights, etc., to just arrive at that. That just doesn't
Some
exist.
seem to naturally. They're looking at everyone saying, what are you doing? I'm reading a book so I can be happy. Aren't you just happy? That they are confused by it because they don't understand that aspect of the play. It is just. But once we see that all aspects are aspects of consciousness, of your own being, then you will see that all of it is given allowance. Once you feel like only one color in the spectrum should be there, then when the others come, then they can seem like, oh, this should not be there. How can everything manifest as only a particular aspect? I don't see the possibility of it. Everything must manifest as everything. And everything includes all sides of the play.
So we are very quick to denounce that I mean, individual suffering, but individual joy also, we are not so quick to.
Well, what is more
like
natural?
individual,
Now the thing is that now once you come to the true position about yourself, and the design of this play again, it is that just some joy, some happiness, without a concept. What comes naturally is this. You need some idea to suffer. So that seems to be part of this design of the play. Maybe just to counteract the fact that most of humanity seems to be buying their ideas. So now God has designed it so that if you're empty of ideas, what naturally appears is joy. Now God could decide tomorrow that he's had enough of this natural joy. He's going to switch it around. So that is a report on what is seen. So when we say that it must arise or something like that, joy must arise, it's not like that. It's just on the basis of induction, on the basis of what has been perceived in the past. Now God is completely free. Free will belongs only to God's will. So God might say, yeah, there are many now who have dropped concepts and now joy is getting the upper hand in this world. So let's switch it about. Natural state without believing a concept is grumpy. You have to pick up a concept to be happy. It's completely possible. But from our experience of how the design of this world operates, is to see that to be grumpy, you need an idea. To be naturally happy. Thank you. Like, can we really say that the sun will come out from the east tomorrow? Cannot really say. It's only on the basis of past experience. So some things are spoken on the basis of that. It is seen in this design of the world that those who are empty of conceptual knowledge seem to be just joyful naturally. Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Moji Ji ki Jai.
Sadhguru Shri Ananta Ji ki Jai.
This hair. What's happening? Now I realize I haven't looked at a mirror all day, only when I come into this Zoom thing and I see the reflection looking back at me. What's happening?